Are you listening? This ain't no quiet thing. We're screaming out our lungs. Hey, are you listening? Hey, are you there? Hey, are you listening? Or do you just not care?
Well, hey, are you listening? This is a podcast exploring the past, present, and future of Christian music. My name is Joel. I'm here with my good friend Brandon, and we connected over a mutual love of some particular artists, but also have kind of different tastes when it comes to stuff. And so we get to experience new stuff from each other while sometimes inviting new friends along for the ride. And today's a fun one for us because we have a friend back with us today. It's our friend Cameron from Tooth and Nail News. What's going on, Cameron?
What's up? Glad to be back once again. Episode number 3 already with you guys.
Yeah, you're like maybe the record, although Jordan's been on it maybe 3 times.
It's right neck and neck right now.
Yeah, you're like tied. So that's a big deal.
All right, maybe I'll have to cancel my plans after this and get another one in.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, well, it's fun because we'll talk about it as we get into it, but this one's kind of a little impromptu because of what's been happening with Tooth and Nail News. And so it's fun for us to get to engage with what you guys are doing. And yeah, we'll talk about why in just a little bit, but we're really excited to have you with us and to jump into some of this stuff. And we're going to jump straight into a news segment. And so, because I know you got some news for us, so let's do that now.
What's in the news? What's in the news?
All right. So new in Tooth and Nail, Bleach announced some tour dates, which is pretty cool. I'm excited to see they're back on the road. The Devil Wears Prada has been doing some reissues on vinyl. Icon for Hire released a new single, as well did Mike Lewis, and John Van Dusen and Ethan Luck. All of them released new singles. Let's see, I got a bunch of stuff here. Joe Christmas announced a new or a show that they're playing at, which is probably their first show in many years.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. And then King's Kaleidoscope is teasing vinyl for Asaph's Arrows, which is really cool. And then they also put out a single along with Unwed Sailor did a single, Haste Today did a single, Chilling Alpine. Tons of great artists everybody should go check out. Jason Dunn from Hawk Nelson, he did a single. That's some of the major stuff.
There's so much happening. It's really unbelievable. Brandon, have you listened to that Jason Dunn song?
I haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah.
I'll have to add it to my list. Which that's one thing that I have really enjoyed about like what Cameron does with Tooth and Nail News is that there's artists that like I consider myself like a really big fan of. That I'm like, oh yeah, I'm up to date with all their stuff. And then I'll see something pop up on his page, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that happened. And because honestly, even recently, I had a band that like I really love. And I saw they had a new single out. I'm like, man, this sounds great. And I realized they had released it 3 months prior. And it's just, I feel like there's so much happening and so much music that it's so easy to kind of get lost like in the shuffle. So I feel like it's really cool that with Tooth and Nail News, it helps highlight a lot of these bands that maybe like you could easily not, pick up on.
It is cool. And I pretty actively follow the page. I'm always clicking on the stories as they pop up. And somehow I missed the King's Kaleidoscope vinyl, which that's probably one of my favorite of theirs.
Yeah, so, that's exciting.
I'm going to have to jump on that one.
Yeah, I don't think it's out yet. So you have time to prep yourself to get it.
Gotcha. I'm going to make that happen during our break after the recording of this episode.
Yeah, that Bleach show too. Got some good openers too.
Yeah, Brandon's really excited about that Bleach tour because John Rubin is touring.
Yeah, I was like, I looked at the lineup and I was like, holy crap, that's good. Isn't Watashi Wa, I think, is on it too?
Yeah.
Some really great bands. They're going to be in Ohio, Bleach will. So they'll be playing at festival, so I won't get to see John Rubin and Watashi Wa. But
well, you can always make a trip. We'll meet you somewhere between here and there, and we can hang out. And I mean, Brandon's he's not going to miss John Rubin, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm deciding whether I want to drop to Atlanta or Orlando. So
Atlanta feels closer. Neither one of those are in the direction of Ohio, though. So I definitely want to go. I'm just bummed that there's not a Charleston show, considering their drummer lives here. But whatever.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, we'll just host it at our church here. Be great.
There you go. I did miss in the news too the Squad 50 final show announcement, and that would be another one I would love to go to in Georgia.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you go to that show, I'll go to that show.
Okay, I'll see if I can make it happen.
That's easy driving distance for us here, and I would love to go and see that. Brandon, I don't know what Brandon would do with Squad 50, so that would be a fun intro for for their last show ever.
That could be an episode. You go do that, and then it's like reviewing the Squad 50 show.
I feel like you can't do that to a band on their last show ever. But I also can't imagine ever not giving them an amazing. I mean, they're just unbelievable live. So, yeah, they're super fun. All right. Well, that's the news. Cameron, thanks for catching us up on all that stuff. Let's talk a little bit about what we've been listening to lately. What have you guys been listening to?
Well, for me, so Grace Graber released her Punk Praise Volume 1, and I've really enjoyed it. I like when people, like, I love covers of stuff, and I really like whenever people kind of make it their own. And so I've really been enjoying kind of what she's been doing, as well as just having this new collection. And I listen and I go, oh yeah, we sing that in church. So we need to talk to Jared at our church, and maybe we can get some new arrangements. And I'm sure he'd be down with that.
Doing those versions. I saw that came out this past Friday, right? Had she announced that that's when it was coming out, or did it kind of shatter? I mean, I knew she was saying it's coming.
I think she's, because I've been on the lookout, but I forgot that it was coming out.
Gotcha.
But I think in the church world, just Easter, everything, leading up to that, it's a blur.
I totally understand that. That's cool. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. So, Cameron, what about you? What have you been listening to?
Copeland's been big in my rotation, like just not any specific albums, just songs, and Abandoned Pools, which I think they had one album on Tooth and Nail, but that is not the one I've been listening to. And then Gracie, who is the newest signee on Tooth and Nail.
Yeah.
She has been doing some, I think she was on BEC previously, did more worship stuff, but she's doing some kind of pop rock stuff. I really like it.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm definitely want to check her out. For sure. I think for me, the big one that's kind of stood out lately was just the John Van Dusen drop on Good Friday of his song Everything and More. And he just like drops it like, hey, I recorded this like, 2023 Good Friday, never did anything with it. Here's a demo, and puts it out.
It's free.
Yeah. Puts it out on Bandcamp for free. And it's just like one of the best songs that he's ever like released. And I'm like, yeah, only John Van Dusen can like drop his best song as a demo, and there you go.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, I've listened to that song probably at least 20 times. And it's great. As is pretty much everything he puts out. So yeah, that's really fun. All right, let's check the mail.
Check the mail. Check the mail. Who, what, when, how, why? Check the mail.
All right, we got an anonymous mailbag question, and I chose to not prep you guys with this ahead of time, just to kind of see what pops off of your head.
That sounds
as
fun.
we talk about it. But I mean, it's not really. It's a great question. So here's the question: where do you see the most exciting, authentic expressions of faith in music happening right now?
That is a great question.
Yeah. Like, what do you see as like really authentic that's happening just in the world of music right now, faith-wise? Who's being real?
I think that the ones that come to mind, I'll give you three of them. I think what Grace Graber's doing is it's taking music that is worshipful and being able to package it to people, like myself, that maybe wouldn't check it out otherwise. I think Fepeste and just like other artists on Velvet Blue, I feel like there's a lot of authenticity over there. And then Gable Price and Friends. I think that they just strike me as like very, very genuine, like not afraid to like talk about their faith, but also it's not like every social media post has to be some Bible verse or something. Like it's
Right,
just
yeah.
being like, it just feels like you are experiencing life with them. So I feel like for me, that's three of them that kind of step out that I found myself kind of gravitating towards because of the authenticity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. The Gable Price and Friends is definitely like on my list as well. I can't really, other than maybe Gable Price and Friends, I can't think of any specific, but like there's like a bigger movement now of wanting something deeper and not just like shallow Christian music, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like it's a lot with like the younger artists that are coming out now. I think it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I think I'd have to go probably with, I've already talked about him, but John Van Dusen. Just because I feel like I've been on a little bit of a journey with him. And it's just been interesting to see how his music has like evolved a little bit over time, even from listening to his band that he was in before he became a solo artist, to now, and really getting like, I feel like I really have like gotten a sense of like what God's been like showing him and teaching him over the course of time. And I just feel like his songs are so real and authentic. And I love the variety that's there, that he can put out like a worship record, and then put out like a Tooth and Nail album. And like you get his heart in all of it in a real way. Even though it's all pretty different. And so, I would say that, and then probably just like Brandon, what you would refer to as journal worship, just which he fits in that category, but like the John Guerras of the world too. I do feel like there's a lot that's happening that is like, if you look at John Guerra's record that came out last year, Jesus, it's all pretty much scripture. But he sings it with such authenticity and just heart that it comes across in such a unique way. And so, but I'm with you guys that I feel like there is a little bit of a movement happening right now of this. And I'll go back and listen to Christian music that was put out in the 90s. And you've commented on this a lot, Brandon, but so much of it feels like kind of cheesy sometimes, and like it's like we just need to say this because this is a Christian album on a Christian label.
Yeah.
Versus like listening to Christian artists today, they don't have that pressure anymore. Like nobody has. I mean, unless you really are like, I want to get some like K-Love play or whatever.
Yeah.
So much of the pressure is gone now for these artists. And so I do feel like you're getting a lot more like real authentic version of like who they are and what's in their hearts. Which is kind of a fun thing to watch happen. So
Yeah. I like, there's a lot more artists like Gable Price from John Van Dusen that do it like, okay, let's write something like, Too Good that Gable Price for instance, but there's also look at like Consequence of Being Alive, like that whole album. There's a lot of just fun songs that's talking about life, and it's not just like you were saying, Joel. It's not, it has to be just like a Christian. We got to say something Christian. There's more on authenticity in writing something about your life and growing up, and then also writing something that's worship. I think that's cool. John Van Dusen does that a lot. Like the song like Social Sucker, it's about, has nothing to specifically do with spiritual stuff, but then did his whole last album is worship. But I like the blend of that.
Yeah. That's really good. It's really good. Awesome. Well, it's a great question, whoever you are that's sending in. So thank you for doing that. You can email us at heyareyoullisteningpod@gmail.com with your questions, your thoughts, your comments. We'd love to talk about those on air as well. So do that. All right, guys, let's play a game.
Let's play, it's time to play a game. Let's play, it's time to play a game.
All right, well, it's my favorite time of the episode where I get to torture you guys a little bit by making you see if you can figure out what album is in my head. And so we're going to play another round of CCM 20 questions. And so I have a particular album by a particular artist that is in my head, and you get 20 yes or no questions to see if you can figure out what it is. You may ask and guess an artist early on so that you can kind of hone in on who it is once you feel like you know who that is. But you can only guess an album once. And so really like hone in on that thing before you feel like you're ready to go all the way. So questions? Got it?
Yep.
I'm good.
All right. Let's do it.
Is the lead singer female?
No.
My important question, is it a Tooth and Nail album?
This is such a great question from the Tooth and Nail News guy to ask. And I feel like important to this. And while when we had you on, Cameron, before, the answer was yes, this time the answer is no.
Okay.
My favorite part of that is even if you said yes, it's like, cool. It just narrows it down to about 1,000 releases now. Man, it blows my mind recently just rediscovering just how much music's came out of Tooth and Nail.
I do feel like, though, I'll say this. I feel like record labels are a good way to like kind of hone in on something. So, yeah.
Well, going off of that, was it released on Goatee Records?
No.
Oh.
Did you say a year, or can I ask that question? I can't remember.
I did not say
Okay.
a year, and I
So
can't.
is it-
I can only say yes or no. So,
Okay. Is it before or after 2000?
so ask me if it was released.
Oh, yes. Sorry. That
What
was
is
poorly
2000?
worded. Yes. Was it released before 2000? There we go.
Yes.
Okay.
Was it released on Forefront Records?
No. That's 5.
Was it on 5 Minute Walk Records?
Yes. 6.
Okay.
Was it is it a like let me explain what I'm asking, that we can say yes or no. So I'm wondering like if it's like a band or solo artist. So when it's solo artist, it's like you'd Toby Mac versus DC Talk.
Sure.
So I'm going for more of like a Toby Mac. So is it a solo like artist?
No.
Okay.
Did this band have more than one release on the label?
Yes.
Okay. That takes 7 Day Jesus off the table.
Is this band still active?
No.
And that takes 5 Iron off the table. Okay. I need to go look at Forefront releases. Or not
5 Minute
Forefront,
Walk.
5 Minute Walk. Yeah. I was gonna go really throw myself off.
Did this band, were they active in the 2000s?
I want to make sure I give you an accurate answer. Hang on just a second.
While you're looking that up, Joel, the other day I was looking up bands, and I've seen a couple of bands that had like disbanded like in the early 2000s, and I was like, man, that's crazy to think about bands that like weren't even around for like the like Napster and iTunes stuff. Like they didn't even experience that as a band.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's kind of crazy to think of.
So I'll give you a little more information on this one. Technically, the answer is yes, although this band broke up in the year 2000.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's 10.
Is that 10? Okay.
I want to say for the record, Cameron, I am not familiar with any bands off this record label. So the more I talk, the more these guesses will be wasted.
This is
Okay.
this is a world you need to dig into a little bit, Brandon.
This is one of those things where like I don't know anyone now, but then I dive in and then I find 10 artists that I love.
Yeah.
Man. The answer to they have more than one release was yes, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Is it the W's?
It is the W's.
Okay,
Way
so
to
now
go.
I got two options here, I think.
Well, there's
Okay.
probably an easy way to like hone in on that.
Yeah. Does the album cover feature a bowling ball?
Yes.
So then it's fourth from the last by the W's.
Correct. Yeah. Brandon, do you even know that album?
I don't. I'm so glad Cameron
You
was here.
gotta go
Otherwise, we
listen
would.
to The Devil is Bad by the W's.
This is the biggest release ever put out on 5 Minute Walk Records. Actually, they toured with DC Talk on the Supernatural tour.
Oh wow.
They were the opener. Yeah. Biggest album for 5 Minute Walk ever. Eventually sold over 200,000 units. Yeah, they're in the really brief moment of time when swing was hot. They released a song called "The Devil Is Bad" and blew up.
Great song.
Yeah, and so I think they obviously probably toured a lot with like Fire and Frenzy, but that song blew up to the level of like putting them on tour with DC Talk.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like ska, like they were like a more ska leaning swing band. I would
Okay.
say
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good record for sure. So great job. That's like 11 questions. It's amazing.
What can I say?
I honestly
pretty good about
didn't.
that.
I didn't think we were going to get there that quickly, but yeah, way to go, Cameron. That's great. You really pulled it in for Brandon, and
All right, I can be done now. I'm done with the podcast. I feel good there.
I love it. Awesome. All right, so well, let's transition and talk about what we're here to talk about today. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about our top 5 albums from Tooth and Nail Records. And the reason that this topic came up for us is because, Cameron, you reached out to us. Tooth and Nail News is celebrating its first anniversary. And you reached out to us and asked us, hey, what are your top 5 Tooth and Nail releases? And so it was really cool for us to get to be a part of that. But tell us a little bit about, because we're super pumped for you and everything that's been going on with Tooth and Nail News. Tell us a little bit about this 1-year anniversary and what it's been like celebrating that.
Yeah, it's been a whole lot of fun. Big thing was doing these top 5, asking everybody. I got to have some chats with some really awesome people. Obviously, you guys and a couple other guys from podcasts and some people that have been important to my page. My dad gave his top 5. That was cool.
That's really awesome. I liked his list.
He had a very solid set of albums. But no, it's just been a lot of fun just to kind of chat with people about the last year. And I did share a post that said, what was your favorite memory of Tooth and Nail News? And I got a few people who are like, yeah, this happened. It was a lot of fun just to kind of look back and see, man, this is really how the last year has gone. Because a year ago, I anticipated maybe doing this for a few months and then it fizzling out. And here it is a year later. So
Yeah, I love that so much. It's been fun watching all the stuff that you've been doing. And I've seen a lot of guys from like bands who are like, well, here's my top 5. And you're like, I might need to do another round.
I have some people lined up to maybe do a part 3. So we'll see.
That's really cool. I love that. But that just goes to show like the community that you've been able to like help build around this music, that you can do something like this and that you have people that are really wanting to be part of the conversation. And so I'm personally really thankful for that. As I know that it's, like we talked about earlier, like you're always informing me of things that I need to be informed on, which is awesome. But yeah, I just love that it's a place that brings people together, and we've had the blessing of getting to know some people through Tooth and Nail News that we wouldn't have known before as well. And so it's super thankful for what you're doing, man.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot to hear that. As cheesy as it sounds, it really means a lot. So
Yeah, I love it. So we had the job of trying to put together our top 5 list, and this was hard for me. Cameron, I think I texted you. I felt like really good about it. I felt like I had it in my head, and then I went and actually was writing them down, and I'm like, oh no, I've got 6, and I struggled to like get the 6 down to 5. And so if we mention any honorable mentions, I feel like I need to mention what my 6th was, because it's an important album to me. But I'm sure that you probably heard from several people with kind of the same stuff.
I was on the Pickle Home Companion podcast like right before I was sharing that, and I had asked them, and they were all giving me so much crap when we were recording the podcast about picking their 5, and 2 of the guys hadn't even finished their 5 yet. I mean, it's tough because top 10 is like, it's pretty easy to pick 10, but 5 is like, man, okay. Like I had the same problem. I got down and I had like 3 or 4 that could be in my number 5. It's like, I know what my 4 are, but what is that number 5? Like, which one do I like more than the rest of those?
I know
It's tough.
For Joel and I, we both kind of had a rule that we would choose like one album from the artist. That way it's not like 4 of one artist. For you, did you like have the same predicament where you're like, man, I don't want to have like this artist on here 4 times? Or for you, was it kind of easy to be like, no, I can differentiate like my top 5?
Yeah, I didn't have any that were like repeat for me, but there were some people that definitely had some repeats. Jeremy from The Rumors Are True, he had Starflyer on his 3 times, I think. So I can understand the struggle there.
Yeah, that could have been a problem for me had I not created the rule of using 5 different artists. So I do think that helped a little bit. It was just picking.
It's cool to see like everybody has had different rules they put in place for making their top 5. Like some people are like, okay, I'm only going to choose albums that are important, or ones that I listen to the most, or XYZ reason, which it was cool to do that because I kind of did a mix of both. I did some that were important, some that were just my favorite.
Yeah. That was really fun. All right, well, I guess we should get into it. And Brandon, you kind of let us know how we're going to walk through this and what you're thinking.
We're going to sprint through. No, that's how we're going to walk. So yeah, what we'll be doing is we all have our 5, and we'll go around and kind of just do like share our like 5th favorite, 4th favorite, 3rd favorite, and so on. I know for me, I also wrote down kind of like my favorite song, or just kind of like a highlight. Like if someone was to sit down and say, all right, give me 5 songs from this list that I should listen to, I did that. So if you guys have a song you want to share from that, cool. If not, you can just say, no, just sit down and listen to the whole album. Stop being difficult. So whichever. It depends on how aggressive you want to be with the listener.
Sounds good. All right, so we're talking about our number 5 first. Well, I can jump off. And so for my number 5, and I'll say too, order for me with this is tough because these are 5 albums that I deeply, deeply love. And so trying to put them in order, I eventually just kind of had to let go of the process a little bit because I have a hard time doing things like that. But so my order I care about, but I don't care about a ton, if that makes sense, because I probably love all these equally in some way. So, but number 5 for me is Joan Zeta, Cruel to Be Young. And so it's this one for me is a record that I will say like kind of brought me a little back into Tooth and Nail because Joan Zeta is a band from my hometown, and I've shared a little bit of the story when we had Ty on talking about this, but they when my band was coming up in Mississippi, Joan Zeta were like the guys in the band were like guys coming to our shows, and then eventually they like formed their own thing. They were all in different bands, and then the whole story of Joan Zeta being like a joke band that somehow turned into the biggest signing for Tooth and Nail, like at that point in time. But Popularity came out, and I picked up Popularity just because I loved them personally. And I liked it. I was always a huge fan of like the Killers and stuff like that. And so I thought it was really good. But when Cruel to Be Young came out, which was just like the next year, I was not expecting the shift at all that happened musically on that album, as I think not a lot of people were expecting. But for me, it was a really good shift, and it grew to be like, these are guys that I love and want to support because I love them, to this is a really good record, and there's some fantastic songs on it. And so it's grown to become one of my favorite records. And I think it would be even if I didn't know them. And so I love that record a lot. So that's my number 5.
What about you, Cameron? What was your number 5?
My number 5 was Dance or Die by Family Force 5. Now, this was like the tough spot for me, like what was going to go my number 5. I land on that just because it's an important record to me. It maybe doesn't hold up in 2026. Like, it's maybe not something that would come out now and be like a huge hit, but there's something about that album. I have memories with it. So I might be kind of blocked behind nostalgia with it, but it's a very important record to me. I think it shaped me as a musician, but also as just a listener of music. Family Force 5 was probably one of the first bands I really got into that wasn't like my dad liked them, but it wasn't like, this was still my own band. It wasn't music I was being handed down. So Family Force 5 and that album specifically is very important to me in that way.
That's really cool. Joel, you kind of touched on it earlier about like how you go about the list. And I first started off and I was like, man, what's just like the best music? But I think for me, I landed on just albums that just like, it's a great music, but there's an emotional attachment.
Yeah.
So I feel like I need to give that disclaimer for people are like, where's Under Oath? And where's all these other bands we know? who are these mystery bands you're bringing up? So first off, it's Dial M by Starflyer 59. For me, this was the first Starflyer 59 album that I really got attached to. It wasn't just, oh, this is good music. I felt like these were songs like, oh man, like I get what he's saying in this. And I just really love that Starflyer 59 doesn't try to like reinvent stuff or make like fancy stuff. They just make good music. I was thinking about how, for anyone who's watched Parks and Rec, there's this scene where one of the characters, Chris, he makes this like super fancy burger. Like, it's got all these like really extravagant sides, and he's got this like homemade sauce he's made for it. So it's just this really fancy burger. And this other character, Ron Swanson, just hands them like a bun and like meat on it. And he's like, there you go. It's just the meat and the bread. And if you want ketchup, do whatever you want to. And that kind of makes me think of Starflyer 59, where it's just good music. So for me, I felt like I had to have a Starflyer 59 album on there. And this, out of their Tooth and Nail releases, this was the one that stood out to me. If you're going to listen to one song off of it, I'll tell you to listen to Brightest of the Head.
It's a great song and a great record. I have a Starflyer 59 album on my list. Not that one, but that one is up there for me for sure. And so, yeah.
Can I throw in there real quick? Cruel to Be Young by Joan Zeta appeared 5 times out of the 22 people I asked.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I was impressed to see it on there that much. It's a great record. So no hate towards it by any means, but I was surprised to see it 5 times.
Yeah, I can believe that. I would be interested on, you can hire somebody to do this work if you don't want to do it. But yeah, like who appeared most on the list and like what albums were kind of, you know what I mean? Like what albums showed up the most.
I know Life in General by MXPX, Silver by Starfire, and Blood and Fire by Zayo. I saw those the most, I think, which those are the ones I expected to see.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Life in General makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah,
for sure. So that's cool. Yeah, that Jones Had a record. It's so good. I didn't mention a song off there because I love so many of them, but Cruel to Be Young, the title track, is really good. And also, if you listen to track 5, Sick in the Teeth, there's a David Bazan vocal show up on that thing, and it's really nice. So it's a great one. All right, number 4. What do you guys got?
I can go. I've got Haunted Horse by Neon Horse. So this was their second album they released. To me, I tell people that like the first one felt like it's kind of this introduction. It's like when you're watching a superhero movie and like the first half of the movie is the person like becoming Spider-Man, but in the second movie you actually get to see them as Spider-Man the whole time. And that's kind of to me like with their second album, they were able just to go full in like on like what they wanted to do with it. It's like such an adventure, and Mark Salomon, his like dueling voices just brings so much to the album. There's this like really creepy sounding voice. There's this like haunting voice. And one thing that was so cool to me as a kid was each song is inspired by like a Bible verse or like a story. It's like in the spine of the album. So for those people who've never bought a CD, there used to be these cases, and inside there'd be booklets and sometimes surprises. So like in the spine of it, they had like the Bible verse for each song. And I just thought that was so cool that, you know, for me at that age, I thought, man, that's just a verse. And it was cool that they could just read these like eight words, and it could turn into this 3-minute like song about this story. So for me, it was just cool to kind of be like, I think for me as like getting into writing at the time, it was like, man, maybe there's more than what I think, or maybe the stuff that I'm writing off as like simple, or there's nothing there. There's actually like a lot of gold right underneath that thing. So for me, I really loved it. It's an album that I still play a ton. And my song off that one is Haven't Sinned in Years. So
Cool.
I was going to ask if that was your way of sneaking a second Jason Martin release on your top 5.
that's what I should have done. Is just had all of his like little side projects.
Brothers Martin, yeah.
Yeah.
Down there.
I love that. That's awesome. So I think my number 4 is an album that I love a lot. And it's The Everglow by May. And I think it came out in 2005 or something. And so, which at that point I was already married and off at school getting my master's. And I don't know, something about this, like my wife Emily and I were volunteering with a student ministry at the time. And so Everglow like is an album that we would like play for students. And then one day I'm like, I really like this. And I had listened to their first album before that and enjoyed it a lot. And my band had been on like a sampler with them or something at some point in time. But something about that finally just hit me in a deep way. And I was like, I think this is one of my favorite bands. And to this day, I will put the Everglow up there against pretty much any record. And I think it holds up, and I think it's really strong. Some people might think it's bloated because it's got 15 tracks on it, but 2 of them are like a prologue and an epilogue and aren't real like cohesive songs, but still 13 songs is a lot of songs. And I get that. But I highly recommend it. And to me, like that a band at the age that these guys were at this time, like in college, could put out a record like this is just pretty unbelievable. And so if I had to give you a song to go listen to off the Everglow, track number 4 is called Suspension. And I think Suspension is a perfect song.
Oh, so good.
Perfect song. There's nothing about it that doesn't work. It is just, it's in my all-time favorites. So yeah.
All right. My number 4 was Between Here and Lost by Love and Death, which is Brian Head Welch's from Korn. That's his band after he left for a brief period of time there. This is my other, I have two of my picks were like the important to me, this would be the other one.
Mm-hmm.
This definitely shaped my taste in music as I was getting into heavier music. I had like I was into Thousand Foot Crutch and POD and Skillet and all the basic Christian
Mm-hmm.
rock bands per se. And I was like, I don't get the screaming thing. Like it's not for me. But then I was watching. It was called JCTV, and they had a music video blender every like Wednesday night or something for an hour. They would play tons of stuff, and this one came on. They had Meltdown, which is probably the song I would suggest. But they played that, and I was like, I think I like this heavy stuff. Like I can get into this. And from there, it was just a downhill into heavy music, and so this album is just very important to me. It definitely shaped my
Mm.
taste in music, and I really got into heaven. So
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go check that one out. That's one that I haven't
Mm-hmm.
ever listened to, and so I don't even think I knew that he put out an album on Tooth and Nail. So, yeah,
That's what you learn from Cameron.
I know that's why it's important
Just
to have
one.
this guy around.
that's what I'm here for.
I love it.
So moving on to 3, Cameron, if you want to go back to back, what was 3 on your list?
Yeah. Number 3 is "You Should Be Living" by 238. I cannot pick a song from this one. I'm very much an album person, so it's like I gotta hear the whole thing front to back.
Yeah.
Sad Semester is a good song. I guess I can throw that one out there. But I discovered this album for the first time maybe 6 or so years ago now. And it was at a point in my life where I was trying to slowly ease into not just heavy music. Because a lot of high school for me was like just heavy music. So I was kind of easing out of that. And there's something about the guitar work on this album and Chris Staples' voice. And it's just such a great record. The instrumentation and the musicianship, it's just so good.
Such a good record. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I could just add on to that, but maybe it's because my number 3 is a 238 album as well, but just a different one. But I will say, my band was traveling with 238 when they were putting some of that together, and I remember sitting like before a show one night, we were all just kicking around, and Ben May was the guy who was I think playing bass then, or maybe guitar, but anyways, he like picked up a bass and started playing the bass line to Sad Semester. And Chris had been joking around about how their next record was going to be a rap record. And then they like were just playing some of their ideas from Sad Semester, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this like song's going to be unbelievable. And that's such a great record, man. Yeah, so my number 3 is "Regulate the Chemicals" by 238, which is the album that came out before "You Should Be Living." And I distinctly remember listening to this album for the first time, and I'd heard some of their earlier stuff before, and was pretty like into it. But it was their earlier stuff was the EP that came out before "Regulate the Chemicals" was "Matter Has a Breaking Point." It's really good, but I feel like "Regulate the Chemicals" really defined a direction for them as a band, and it is one of the most like cohesive and thoughtful and just creative records. And then I feel like "You Should Be Living" came along and kind of put a nice little like bow on it, and almost like made "Regulate the Chemicals," like took that album and said, let's make this like a little poppier and more accessible. But I love both of those albums. So it was really hard for me to pick like which one. And so I do think that if I had done the same artist multiple times, probably both of those records would have been in my top 5 for sure. They're just both incredible albums.
"Regulate" was on my short list of albums that didn't make my top 5. So
Yeah.
so
hard.
good.
That's cool. My third list is not 238, but there are numbers in there. It's Children 18-3.
There you go.
There's 183 on there. So for me, this is one of those bands that I felt like all of their albums were really good and I really liked, but I think this one just stood out a little bit. I think maybe just the maturity. Like, I think the way to describe it maybe was that I felt like their previous albums were really good songs, but it's kind of just like a bunch of songs thrown onto an album. Whereas I feel like this one was their most just complete start to finish. Like it feels like it's all this really cohesive, like album. And it also just has like the brother and sister David and Lee Marie. Like I think that it's really good when they're both like singing on stuff. And this one to me was like they were the highest quality on there. And for me, this album came at a time where I just felt like song after song was like, oh man, like this was I need to hear this right now. So it's just cool when you find an album that, you know, like really shapes you, where you're just like, man, I need some guidance or something. And it's like these people, you know, it's like they sat down and said, hey Brandon, here's 45 minutes of, you know, advice we want to give to you. So I really loved it. It's also a really good mixture of like their first album was like a lot heavier, and I feel like this one, it's like you still have like the yelling on stuff, but then you also have these like slower, like smoother songs. So I really liked it. The song I would tell you to go listen to is "Why Are You Afraid of the Dark."
That's cool. That's good. All right. Well, let's do top 2. Brandon, why don't you just jump in and give us your number 2?
All right. Well, my number 2 is an album we talked a good bit at the beginning, "Cruel to Be Young" by Joan Zeta. Out of all of the albums on my list, this is the one that didn't really hit at first. Like, I listened to it, and, you know, like we talked about, there's a huge shift from the other one that's way dancier and poppy and all. And it wasn't until college that I think I either rediscovered the CD or I found it like at a thrift store, and I just put it in my car. So I was just like driving around, and it was just like playing, like kind of like just nonstop for about a week or whatever. And I just really started to appreciate just how good this album like is. And to be honest, I think that kind of the negative reception almost boost it for me. Because I think a lot of people never took that second listen to appreciate.
Yeah.
They just thought, nope, this isn't what we wanted. Like, we wanted more like dance. And I think this one is just, it's just like dealing with life, where like it's not all just like dancing and all. And I think this album, it's hard for me to think of another album that I love that is as like underrated. Because I think there's like bands like House of Heroes that I'm like, I love their stuff, but like not everyone knows them, but people who do know them are like, yeah, they're amazing. But I think even the Joan Zeta community, like this one's kind of just like, yeah, it's there or whatever. So yeah, for me, that's what kind of made it to second on the list for me, was just because I think that second and third listen is when you really start appreciating what they put together. And for me too, I chose my song "Cruel to Be Young" as well.
Yeah.
Off of there.
It's a good song. Yeah, I wonder, I think that today most people's view and take on that record is a lot different maybe than when it came out. But I am curious. Cameron, do you remember, did "Popularity" by Joan Zeta end up on anybody's top 5?
Was it on one person's? I know there's one of the guys in the Pickle Home Companion had mentioned it. Let me go look here real quick. I know we were talking about the list he mentioned, but I can't remember if he actually ended up putting it on there. And now my phone's not going to load now that you're asking
It's
me.
fine. It's no big deal. But I think the fact that "Cruel to Be Young" has shown up 5 times probably tells you that that things have shifted there. I wonder today which one of those records gets more streams. It's probably still "Popularity." But
Popularity was a number 2 for Pete.
Okay.
At Pickle Home Companion.
there you go. Yeah. They're both great records, no doubt.
Absolutely.
But yeah. Okay. I'll give my number 2 here. So my number 2 goes to Further Seems Forever and their debut full length, "The Moon Is Down." Hard for me to imagine a record that maybe had more impact or influence on me than this one. I feel like when this record came out, I had never heard anything like it before, and I've heard a lot of people try to sound like this record since then. I feel like there's a whole genre of music that is basically, how can we sound like The Moon Is Down by Further Seems Forever, but like nobody's ever done it as good as they did either. And so this album, I love it from start to finish. And I know that people have different preferences when it comes to vocalists for Further, and I've liked all their vocalists along the way, but I just think there's something about this album being the first album. It's probably a little bit of it is nostalgia for me, but I just never heard anything like this when it came out, that you had a hardcore band like Strong Arm, like transition into being whatever this is. At the time, there wasn't really a name for it because it was so new, but I'd never heard anything like it. And it's just perfect in so many ways, that the guitars sound like a symphony, like so often. And the playing, the drums, the guitar, it's an incredible record. And for it to be such a technical record, but still have so many hooks in it, is just unbelievable. It's a little bit of a masterpiece. So number 2, The Moon Is Down, Further Seems Forever.
Okay, that's a great number 2.
Yeah.
I'm a How to Start a Fire guy, but
I know. It's a great record too.
Yep. So my number 2 is The Narrow Scope of Things by Embodiment. I think a lot of people generally favor their first record because they like their credit as one of the first bands to do the whole deathcore thing. It's great, don't get me wrong, but to see a band that lost their vocalist and brought somebody new in and still do something that is, they didn't try to do something that was like, let's try to be what we were before with somebody new. Like, let's reinvent ourselves. And I think it's a solid album has some heavy elements, maybe not as heavy as their first, but still has some elements that they went on and kept that were more post-hardcore, grungy kind of stuff. And it's, again, like I said, I'm an album guy. I have to listen to this whole album. I love throwing this one on my record player and just letting it play, because it's got just great songs that flow into each other and they work together well. I guess if I have to recommend one, Winter Kiss is great, as well as, man, I can't think of the song now off the top of my head, but it's like the popular choice off the album. But it's just, I love that it's a good blend of the heavy and the singing, and it does a good job of putting those together really well, for especially coming out in 2000. Like, I would say it's kind of ahead of its time, kind of doing what Under Oath ended up doing, but not in the same like poppiness as Under Oath had.
I remember when that one came out and everybody was like, what in the world? Like, it was such a shift, like such a big shift, but I feel like in a cool way. Yeah. I love that.
That's cool. I guess before, I don't know how we're doing on time. I don't know if you guys wanted to mention one or two of y'all's.
There's some honorable mentions.
Yeah, honorable mentions real fast.
Yeah, I'll list one just that I wasn't able to include. That was my number 6, just briefly, and that is I Am Origami Part 3 by John Van Dusen. It really broke my heart not to include that. And it's a new school Tooth and Nail record. But I really, really love that album. And so I struggled a lot not putting that on there. And I can mention like a lot of other, like Slick Shoes, Burnout, or I could mention Stretch Armstrong, Rituals of Life. Like, there's a bunch of things that I could mention that would be definitely my top 10. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's the problem with some of these stuff, is that you don't know how it's gonna be like hold up. So I'm really excited that almost like 10 years from now, if you were gonna go back and look, because I think we've talked before about Idle Threat's new album coming out. I feel like it's kind of shaping up to be something like pretty special. Oh, yeah. So it's like you wonder, like in 10 years, like who are the people now that are just maybe releasing their first Tooth and Nail or whatever album, and they're going to be like on that Mount Rushmore. I won't go into detail because I had a few, but Classic Crime, Vagabonds, 1,000 Foot Crutches, Welcome to the Masquerade, and also Me Without You's It's All Crazy, It's All False, It's All a Dream. that album gets so much hate by people, but I think that it was neck and neck for me. Like if it's the best Me Without You album. So I felt like I just need to share that for the other people out there that like you're heard. Like it's a good album and we can celebrate it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I just need to throw that out there.
Throw it out there.
Timothy Hay, one of the best songs you'll ever hear.
I love it.
Oh, that is a great song. I'm glad to know there's somebody else out there that loves it. I love Timothy Hay.
Cameron, do you have any honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions, let me go real briefly. I have way too many. I'm just going to run down. I have a lot of them, and I'm just going to say them all real quick. Toast to Bad Taste by Far Less, Cities by Amberlin, Blood and Fire by Zayo, Saloon by The Ongoing Concept, Singularity by May, and Bloodied Unbowed by O Sleeper. Then I should also mention that it hurt my heart so much to not include Luxury and Essays Burn, as they are my favorite bands. But the albums they put out after they're on the label are my favorite. So
yeah, I get that. I know. I don't have the luxury on mine either. So, all right, number ones. Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Okay, go for it.
So my number one is Brother Sister by Me Without You. There's nothing bad about this album. Like prior to this, I used to do a music review with one of my close friends, Miranda, and our rule was always you have to say something good and bad about each album to make it fair. And I think this is an album that I would not have been able to review because there's nothing bad from the artwork to the music. This album is just so much emotion, passion, rawness. There's also these like weird interludes about like spiders like throughout it. And I mean, I'm not a fan of spiders, so I feel like that's something special about it.
Or your negative thing you could say about it.
Yeah. And but yeah, this is one of those albums that I think it just really shaped me because I felt like, and it's not trying to oversell it, but it felt like this is, you think you know what music is, and then you hear this and you're like, this is a whole nother door I didn't even know existed. So yeah, for me, this is number one on my list. The songs I would say, I had two on here, so I feel like it's number one, so it could be special. I had Oh Porcupine and Nice and Blue Part 2 on there. So
Nice and Blue Part 2 is a great song. Mm-hmm. That's good. Y'all go ahead and give my my number one. So for me, I think my number one is The Fashion Focus by Starflyer 59. And man, there's so much I could say about this record. I bought it when it came out and loved it, but I don't think that I loved it as it. Yeah, my love for it just grew and continues to grow all the time. And so every time I listen to it, I feel like I'm like discovering new things or really honing in on things that that I love about this record. And so it's such a different like Starflyer record from what had come out before. I mean, you know, you had Silver and Gold and then Americana, but Americana was a little bit of a bridge to this, but still leaning a lot in the other direction. And so when this album came out, it was pretty polarizing, I think, for fans because it was so different. But for me, it was like an open door into listening to Starflyer 59 because I'd never heard anything like that before. They'd never done anything like that before. And they are to this day one of my favorite bands. And so I think if I had to pick my favorite Starflyer record, then it would probably be The Fashion Focus. And so I really, really love that one. Yeah. Cameron, you got your number one?
My number one, and I filled the gap for you, Joel. It is I Am Origami Part 3 by John Matthews. I was kind of surprised that it made my number one, I'll be honest. Like when I was going through the albums, there was a lot that I thought would be my number one. But I think because I was missing Luxury and Essays Burn, my next logical choice was John Van Dusen. I love that album.
Yeah.
It's just such a great cohesive piece of music.
Mm-hmm.
Every song flows together. I love the song Fly Away to Hell. I will probably put that as the one that I would suggest.
Yeah.
But you have to listen to the full album.
Mm.
You're missing it. There's like every song, I think is it like the fourth through the like seventh or eighth track, they all like flow together.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And every part, like the one song ends and it's like there's why can't I think of it, from the one before Fly Away to Hell flows right into Fly Away to Hell, and I can't remember what it is. But it's just such a perfect blending of all the songs. It all works so well. I just love that album. I can't say enough just how much I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I texted Cameron when I couldn't get past my 6, and I was like, dude, here are the 6 I have. I don't know what to do. And he's like, well, if it makes you feel better, John Van Dusen's on my top 5. And I'm like, okay. So, but seeing him be number 1 for you was awesome. But
Yeah.
that album was my introduction to his music too.
Yep. Same with me.
That I just randomly was like, oh, here's new Tooth and Nail music. Like this is kind of me getting back into what Tooth and Nail is doing right now. And so I'm like, I'm gonna check this out. And I think I heard the song Whatever Makes You Mine. And I'm like, this is so good.
Mm-hmm.
And it just drew me in. And then I went back and listened to I'm Origami Part 2. And I'm like, this is so different from I'm Origami Part 3, but I also deeply love it. And yeah, I've loved everything he's put out. So I appreciate you representing.
Yep, absolutely.
Representing him.
It would be a crime if he wasn't in my top 5.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Cool. Well, we did it. We talked about our top 5 records. And so you guys have given me a few that I need to go check out and listen to. So I'm looking forward to doing that for sure. So let's move into our lyric of the week.
Our lyric of the week comes from Starflyer 59's Lust for Gold. It goes, in my lust for gold, I feel like I've gotten nowhere. In my lust for gold, I feel like this is going nowhere, is going nowhere. A lot of the lyrics are really depressing if you don't have the music behind it. So I've learned them more as we go into this. I'm like, if you just have the whole song, you'd understand. So
a lot of people might say that the music doesn't help it be less depressing. But, what a great album. That album, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next Starflyer release. Is there going to be another one?
oh, there always is.
There always has been.
Yeah.
So yeah, can't wait for that. Cool. Well, Cameron, you inspired this episode, and so we're really thankful for you jumping on with us and being here with us as we got the chance to kind of talk through it and work through it. And so thanks for making it a priority for you to come and hop on here. It's fun to get to talk through this with you, since this whole thing was kind of your idea. And so we're, again, just really grateful for you and for Tooth and Nail News and everything that you guys are doing, and thankful that we get to kind of lock arms in the journey of just bringing attention to all this good music that's out there and building some community around it. So thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me once again. And I will definitely be back for a number 4 so I can set the record.
Sweet. Can't wait for that. I'll mention too, as we're kind of signing off here, we usually talk about where people can find us. So you need to go find Tooth and Nail News, Instagram, Facebook. Anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook, that's my main things. You'll catch me on Instagram most of the time. So
that's cool. And we actually just created an Instagram. So now you can go find us on Instagram at Hey Are You Listening Pod. So go check that out and find us there. We'd love to interact with you and engage with you in that world. We're just thankful for you guys for digging into this week in and week out. So thanks for listening, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
Are you listening? This ain't no quiet thing. We're screaming out our lungs. Hey, are you listening? Hey, are you there? Hey, are you listening? Or do you just not care?